Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. Today is My Girl Thursday and I have two beautiful books for you to celebrate my daughter being out there in the world on her journey, finding her way in the sea of people and learning and things. And of course I miss her, so I send her extra love every Thursday with special books. These two books are Olivia's Opposites and Olivia Acts Out. And both of these Olivia books, boys and girls, are adapted by Jody Shepard, and they're based on the screenplay written by Patrick Rensick, illustrated by Patrick Spazatine. Our first one is Olivia's Opposites. Up, down, up, down. Long, short. Coming, going. Quiet, loud, loud, quiet. Plain, fancy. Open, closed. And that is the end of Olivia's Opposites. Our second book is Olivia Acts Out. I have some exciting news, announced Olivia's teacher, Mrs. Hagenmuller. Our class play this year will be the Fairy Queen. And I will play the Fairy Queen, Olivia whispered to her friend Julian. Mrs. Hagenmuller continued, the Fairy Queen will be played by Francine. I bet I get the second biggest part, whispered Olivia. I hope I get to work the curtains, Julian whispered back. That way no one will see me, and the littlest fairy will be played by Alexandra, the teacher continued. Giving out parts took a long time. Finally, there were only 2 roles left to assign, and only 2 students waiting to find out their roles, Olivia and Julian. Julian was chosen to be tree number 3. Tree number 3. He had no speaking lines at all. Awesome, he shouted. And Olivia, Mrs. Hagenmuller finished, you are cow number 2. At home, Olivia complained to her family. My part doesn't even have a name. Of course it does, said her mother. You're cow number 2. Now tell us what you say. Moo. Moo, Olivia answered. And, her mother said encouragingly. That's it, Olivia replied in a grumpy voice. Only moo. Well, said her father, just remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So, Olivia practiced saying it all different ways. She mooed high and low, she mooed loud and slow. At school, school the next day, the class practiced the show. It was a disaster. Harold kept facing the wrong direction. Julian was allergic to his tree costume. He sneezed loudly every time Francine tried to recite her lines. I cannot work under these conditions, Francine moaned. I can, Olivia volunteered. Mrs. Hagenmuller clapped her hands. Class, let's take it from the top. From the top of what? asked Francine, puzzled. Mrs. Hagenmuller sighed. That means start at the beginning. So Francine repeated her line to cow number 2, and Julian managed not to sneeze. But cow number 2 wasn't paying attention. Olivia imagined the night of the play. Francine on stage looking out at the beautifully dressed audience. She opened her mouth, but nothing comes out, not even a tiny squeak. Oh no, wailed Mrs. Hagenmuller. Francine has stage fright. The play will be ruined. Don't worry, Olivia reassured her. I know every line and every gesture. She takes center stage. A star is born. And then Olivia remembered she was on stage as cow number 2. Francine was saying, for all your good deeds, little fairy. Moo, interrupted Olivia. Francine tried again. Little fairy, you have earned these fairy win. Moo, Olivia said louder. Moo, Olivia, Mrs. Hagenmuller said sternly. There's not a single moo in the script here. But Mrs. Hagenmuller, Olivia protested. I think the cow would be happy for the little fairy. She would definitely moo. She would tap dance too, like this. Back at home, Olivia asked Ian to practice lines with her, but she just laughed. But he just laughed. All you say is moo. How much practice do you need? It's not what you say, Ian. It's how you say it. Olivia tried to imagine herself in the spotlight, stealing the show as cow number 2. She said. What have cows ever done that's interesting? Well, Julian replied, there's that one cow that jumped over the moon. You know, hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. That's it, exclaimed Olivia. If you're stuck being a cow, it's good to have a moon to jump over. The big night finally arrived. Everyone was on stage. Everyone was in place on stage. The curtain went up. I am, Francine began, then froze. It was just like Olivia's dream. Uh-oh, Olivia thought. Francine needs help. Olivia whispered to her, I am the queen of the fairies. Those words were just enough to get Francine started. I am the queen of the fairies, she said grandly, and the show began. Before long, the play was ending. Olivia's big moment was coming. You, horse, will you be merry? And you, tree, will you be merry? And you, cow, will you be merry? Francine asked. Moo, answered Olivia. She leapt up, up, up over the moon, then down, 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 side to side. Until she landed back on the stage, she grabbed Francine's hand and exclaimed, "The end." The cast bowed and the audience applauded wildly. Back at home, Mother peeked into Olivia's room, ready to tuck her in, but Olivia was already sound asleep. mooing under her breath as she dreamed of jumping over the moon. So Mother just pulled up the covers and whispered, "Good night, Olivia." The end of Olivia Acts Out. Boys and girls, I do not own the rights to these stories, but I do love storytelling magic, and the magic of this story is how Olivia turned being a cow with just a small part into a big part that meant something, and she actually helped out Francine when she froze. So you see, boys and girls, sometimes it doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but you can turn anything into what you really want it to be by helping, by having a great big outlook on things, and by spreading and sharing the love. It is Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. And to my girl, I say, I know you're out there acting out, acting, having a good time, and you are also doing a lot of opposites, a lot of the opposite things that you used to do when you were home and when you were younger, because you're older now and you're finding your way in the world. So your mom sends her love, and as always, I say good luck, my girl, and I love you with all my heart, and you are still by far the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'll see you soon. Bye.